There are many games out there and as many reviews, but only few of them can answer gamers' burning question. Is it worth my money? It's been almost 3 years, but the moment is finally here. A follow-up to the ultra brutal and super difficult game Hotline Miami was released only a few days ago. For those of you who were living under the rock when the first game was released, here's a quick overlook of the story. In first part, you were playing as a Jacket, an average Joe who started receiving strange phone calls telling him to murder people while wearing rubber animal masks. I don't want to spoil much of it, but there is much more to this story than meets the eye, and let me just say that Jacket ends up in prison for his crimes. Hotline Miami 2, which is at the same time the last part of the saga, concentrates on events before, during and after the Jacket's murders. This time around though, we get to play as few characters. Was this a good call? Good news! Number 1. Difficulty. I've heard a lot of complaints about the game difficulty, how the game is trying to be super hard by using larger maps and therefore you have to scroll them in order to see enemies that can see you before you can see them. Well, you know what? Fuck them. Larger maps are the thing I've loved most about this installment. I had to plan more than a regular rampage like in previous one, and if something is more demanding, then the reward is greater. I felt especially satisfied after completing extremely difficult level, even with a C+ rank, which for me is terrible, but still, the feeling of completion and challenge brings a great joy, and that's what makes me come back to this game. I come back for more and more just to see how far I can push my score and limits of my patience. Number 2. Story. While the first Hotline Miami offered a really great story, this time around developers have served us something even better. It took me a while to get a whole picture of what was happening during the game. Reappearing flashbacks from the not so distant past and reminiscences from the first game all were mixed with present events, thus creating a complete story with a mind-blowing ending. In order to truly understand it, you have to finish the first part of the saga, and I would recommend doing so with all the secrets to unlock a true ending. I think it was a great idea to introduce a large diversity of characters. It made the story more complex, dividing it in several time frames, and by showing you that in the end, all that awaits us is death. The ending came as a big surprise, and is one of the best I have ever seen in video games. Number 3. Soundtrack and art style. These are definitely the strongest points to this game. Soundtrack is a masterpiece with reappearing composers such as El Huevo, Moon, Jasper Byrne or Peter Bader, alongside with newcomers like Live Companions, Auto Delta Time or Light Club. All songs were chosen perfectly to according moments in the game. They've pumped you when you had to kill a whole army of enemies and chilled you down just in the right moment of the story. If it wasn't for the music in the game, I wouldn't have pressed this goddamn R button every time I've died to retry the whole sequence. Sound and distinctive art are two things that have kept me in Miami for much longer than I have expected. It's a top-down pixel art action game, so if you are a fan of AAA titles which are pushing boundaries of graphics to the limit, you may feel disappointed, but if you are one of those who are, as me, raised with pixelated games on your Nintendo, you will feel just like at home. Art combined with difficulty, in my opinion, is a tribute to good old games. Beautiful in its own way and extremely hard to finish. Number 4. Hard mode. Throughout the game I couldn't shake off this feeling that the game was just too easy. That may be because I've spent a shitload of time with the first game and achieved a platinum trophy, but I was more than glad to see that after you beat the normal mode, hard one is unlocked. But what they could possibly do to make this game harder? More enemies? Lame. Tougher to kill? Against game rules. One shot, one kill. So what they did, they've switched maps from top to the bottom and vice versa. Changed the number of enemies and their routes a little bit, and here we have a perfect solution to make a game harder. You can't use the routes you have used previously, so you have to find a new efficient ways to utilize hordes of foes. This is a simple yet brilliant way to challenge the player and expect from him to think again how to beat a certain level. Bad news. Number 1. Enemy AI. Sadly, enemies range from super dumb to inhumanly cautious. One time you get all of them to follow you behind the corner, so you can take all of them at once or one by one. The other time, they have eyes in the back of their head that can kill you before you'll make your move. While the first one can be seen as facilitating, the second one will induce rage upon those who are trying to beat their score at all costs. It wasn't a big deal for me, but I can see few people finding this as a bad thing and a downside to a game. Number 2. Bugs. Not sure if I should mention these since developer is doing amazing job on patching those ASAP, but since I couldn't launch this game on my Mac on the release date and had to wait for a patch to fix it, I have decided to point one more. Object detection sucks. Really, it does. Especially there's something wrong with the walls. I've killed more than few enemies with my fists by getting really close to the wall and punching a guy that is walking on the other side. What the actual fuck? This is not something I would expect, but as I said, they're doing a magnificent job on fixing most issues, so I won't bitch more over here. Hotline Miami 2 is a perfect sequel. It's bigger and much better. It took me about 8 hours to complete whole story, and still there is so much more to explore. I decided to go for a platinum trophy. I want to check out the level editor that is right now in an early testing stage and available for PC only, and I want to complete game on hard mode, so I estimate that I still have around 20, maybe 30 hours with this title left. And for as low as 15 euros, this game is more than a bargain. This is stuff made from your greatest nightmares and most perfect dreams. Do not wait any longer. Head out to Steam or PlayStation Store and get it, because this game is worth your money. Thanks for watching! Check out my other awesome videos and remember to subscribe. If you've enjoyed this and you have something to say, leave a comment below.